Peace, my beautiful souls. So earlier I was thinking about how when I was younger I used to get bullied in school. First of all, I went to so many different schools. I think I went to like 6 or 7 like elementary through middle schools, and then 3 high schools. But in elementary through middle school, certain schools I was in, I used to get bullied a lot. And I've used to be a big people pleaser for the majority of my life, and I would not like defend myself. I was really scared, which is really funny because my entire family, like both sides of my family, are more like the opposite end of that. They were like fighters. They didn't let people mess with them and stuff. And then me, I used to get hit or picked on, and I didn't do anything. I know when I was younger, I guess I used to fight boys, which I don't remember fully, besides one time. But the only time like I was in like defense mode really would be like defending other people, and that was still more so when I got a little bit older. But when it came to me, like I used to let people punk me, I used to let people bully me. And I remember one of the first times, like I had this friend that like she used to like, I would wear pigtails and she would like grab them and pretend she's riding a bike. And I remember finally one time I was like I asked her to stop, like I'm like, I don't like that, like stop doing that or whatever. And I remember she called me a bitch, and I started crying because I felt bad because she felt like I was being a bitch, but I was like, I'm not, like I'm just trying to, tell you I don't like that. And yeah, I just remember that moment, and I was really so sad. And throughout my entire life, like defending myself was always something that was really hard for me with like friends or strangers, I guess, like that, or just saying things that like made me uncomfortable was very difficult for me to do. And I'm just now in this moment kind of realizing that perhaps that stemmed from childhood with family. Because let's say with family, the only thing I ever got in trouble for was talking back and having an attitude, because I would stand up for myself, but I would always be told like I was in the wrong type of thing, and like what I was saying was disrespectful or rude, although I was just speaking about things that I didn't like, but it was never received well. So then as I got older, I kind of shut down with that. And even in like relationships, like romantic relationships I was in, whenever I would speak up for myself and say like what I don't like, what I feel like is disrespectful, or what I feel like I deserve, I am worthy of more than what I was receiving, it was never received well. It always turned into an argument, or the person would start like crying and go into victim mode for me just simply stating that I was not liking how I was being treated, if that makes sense. And I just wanted to come and talk about that and just say, like, do not allow yourself or anyone to suppress your throat chakra, because that's what it does. When you start to hold back how you feel, you're closing up your throat chakra. And obviously it's important learning how to speak about like things that you don't like in a respectful manner. You don't have to scream and yell, because I had that issue too. I got to the point where like before, like I got, I guess you could say, aggressive with it, like with the way I would speak. Like I would be yelling and cursing and like, but I also grew up seeing that. I never seen like good communication, a healthy form of communication, and I would get so frustrated and I would feel so like unheard and misunderstood that it would come out incorrectly. And over this past year, I've been learning to just speak my mind, speak my truth and the way I feel without having to get angry or aggressive, and it just is what it is. And knowing when to back away from somebody or a situation is very important too. Like when you realize they don't have the capacity to understand what you're saying, or let alone half the times they do understand what you're saying, but they like to once again play victim or make you feel like you're being crazy. Like they're not respecting you. So knowing when it's time to step back, but also knowing don't ever suppress yourself. Even if like you are going to step back, it still is important to speak your mind. Sometimes use your discernment though, because sometimes it could be quote unquote a waste of time, but at the same time I'm still learning to see that it's not always a waste of time, because you still should let out what you feel, how you feel like on the inside, and if that makes sense, And it's just finding a balance between like I went to just, I guess, walk away, I'm still personally finding a balance, because sometimes when I get to a point where I know like they're not going to receive it well, I won't say anything. I'll just kind of like end that relationship, friendship, whatever. But I am trying to still speak that part, even if they're not going to get it, because I also have been learning that like not saying that kind of keeps that person in a place of stagnancy as well. And not to say that we are responsible for anybody else's growth or anything like that, but keeping in mind not suppressing your throat chakra, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's been a whole journey, and it's been beautiful to me. And the biggest thing was like me feeling bad for speaking how I felt, or feeling like I was wrong. And you're not ever wrong for telling someone how they make you feel, and that you're uncomfortable with it, or feel disrespected, or whatever the case may be. Like, even last night, it blew my mind. I was dancing, like there was somebody I was dancing with, but after like we finished the dance, he did like a little, I don't know, arm squish. And I was like, I don't like to be touched. And he was like, oh, so he said, oh, well, I'm a massage therapist, so I'm doing that all the time. And I looked at him like, what the freak kind of response is that? And I think he realized, like, he saw my facial expression, and then he was just like, sorry. And I just like nodded my head, because it kind of blew my mind, his response or whatever. Then he was just like, so you don't like to dance close or something like that? And I'm like, when I'm supposed to, like when the movement is for a close dancing, like. But I also gave him a funny ass look, because I'm like, you're trying to be funny now. Like, for one, me not liking to be touched, let's talk about, I should have been more specific. Consensual touch is one thing. If I'm saying yes we can dance, then yes we can dance. And even within the dance, let's just also point out, if you get to a space where you feel uncomfortable, like if they are too close, you can easily tell them to back up. That's another thing with going to say, you are more than free to change your mind at any given moment about anything. But it just goes to show people's responses. And a lot of people, I've learned, especially here, are not used to people, or not even only especially here, in general, people are not used to like speaking your mind, saying like, I don't like to be touched, because there are a lot of people that are just very touchy by nature, and they just feel like that's okay. But in reality, touching someone, hugging someone, all of those things, you should ask, especially if y'all are not like really close and that's not just y'all norm. You shouldn't ever just assume that someone is okay with hugs, with being touched, or anything like that, you know? I'm going on a rant right now. But either which way, do not be afraid to use your voice. Do not be afraid to let someone know that you are uncomfortable or you do not like something. It is your God-given right, your right as goddess, to be free in whatever you feel and speak your mind, okay? And okay, let's talk about this, boundaries. It is your right to have boundaries. Whatever kind of boundaries you want, you are worthy of having those boundaries. And if someone does not respect those boundaries, that is their problem. But it's your responsibility to keep that boundary and respect your own boundaries as well, and keep them firm. Don't lower your boundaries or take away your boundaries for anybody. If they can't respect it, they are not meant to be in your life, in your energy. But yeah, I love you guys, and I'll see you later.